Hello everyone, this is Diane. Today is the last day of 2021. As I record this, you will be seeing it on the first Monday of 2022 when these journals will be in my Etsy shop. I have completed 8 Stash Buster journals and they are bound with the wires using my Bind It All. And they are, like I said, I think I said they're Stash Buster journals, so I just once in a while love to do some Stash Busters and have fun putting in a little of this and a little of that and using up some of my stash. And it is just so much fun and not a whole lot of thinking, although I try to use some creativity in doing it. So I'm just going to go through these with you and let you see what's in the shop. There will be 2 listings. One listing will be for the small size journals, and without the wire they are not quite 4.5, about 4.25 by 6.5. And one of them is, well, this one here is just slightly bigger. And then the other ones are Golden Book size, and this is 6.25 by 8, almost 8. With each journal will come some extras, so I want to show you those first before I forget. There will be the pages from the books that didn't get into the journals. I used some of the pages, but not all of them. So the Alice pages will go with the Alice book, and so on. And I have the Golden Book pages also. So you'll get some book pages that you can cut up and use as ephemera in your journals. And I filmed this video once and then deleted it by mistake. So I have my little bags of ephemera already packaged up. Sorry. And I'll open one up so I can show you. I just put together some little bundles of extra goodies. Each one will be different, but they all have the same type of items. Tim Holtz word phrase, one of those chipboard pieces. There are some die cuts and stamped images. There's a postage stamp, some stickers, some labels that I made with my stamps, stamped onto vintage book page. This is a stamp stamped onto a vintage perforated piece of paper. More postage stamps. This is one of my calling cards that is in my digital stuff. So I can't give away digitals, but I can give away my digitals. So just a bunch of fun items to get you started. Alright, now without any further ado, let's go through the books. We'll start with the little ones. There are 3. These will be in one listing, and there will be a drop-down box, and you can select the title that you would like. These will be listed, all of these will be listed in my shop on Monday morning. I'm not sure, hopefully around 8 o'clock, but Eastern Standard Time, and that's pretty early for parts of the country, but since there are 8 books, I figured they would stay in the shop a little longer. So the inside, this is a Rand McNally Jr. Elf book, and all of the books, all 8 of them, have metal corners, and they are all wrapped around the raw edge with either paper or fabric, bound with 1-inch O-wires. And some of them have extra embellishment on them just because there was space for decorating, or because I wanted to cover up something that was a little rough or dirty, because these are all vintage books. This one has just a little piece cut from a vintage baby sheet, and this is from that same sheet, and a couple of little fabric squares, just because the back of it was rather plain looking. I left a little elf there because he's cute. And the end papers of these Junior Elf books are decorated to go with the book. That's how they came. All right, so the pages that we have, I can talk a little more on the first book, and the rest are going to be very similar, but there are scrapbook paper and a scrapbook paper pocket and a scrapbook paper tag, all made from scraps, cut off pieces. This is a vintage address book page, a digital flower seed label, a little envelope, and I just put a digital photo in there. Here's one of the book pages. The Junior Elf books are more fragile. The papers were fragile, so I reinforced the edges with strips of paper. And this is gift wrap. It looks like $100 bills, so that's pretty fun. This is a vintage Romper Room flashcard. Really, really fun flashcards. And a vintage children's card. I don't know what game that was, but all I know is it had adorable little characters on it. A vintage printer paper. An index card with a green border and the hole. You could tie your ribbon or something through there. This is a vintage note card, and it has a recipe inside for Swedish cookies called medallions. And this one has a pocket made with more scraps, and this was a little tag that I stamped and cut out, and there's a little digital inside. A handmade paper, flashcard, more scrapbook paper, just a lined paper, a quart whist card. I believe that's for some sort of a card game, maybe a form of bridge. I don't know what whist is. A plant card. I cut it down to size and then added a pocket and a little stamped piece. A digital tag. This feels thick. Oh, you got 2 tags. I'm leaving them in there. And this tag that I got at Hobby Lobby quite a while ago. There's lots of room for writing and adding your own embellishments. There's a little playing card that, again, looks like a $100 bill on the back side of it. There's a game score sheet or playing sheet. A time card that I folded up and made into a pocket. Just put a little paper scrap along there to decorate it, and added a homemade tag. This was an ombre cardstock piece, and I just added this digital to it and some seam binding. Makes a very simple but pretty tag. This is a piece of wallpaper, and it has a little journaling card and a little digital here, and a pretty postcard, a lined piece of scrapbook paper, Monopoly money, and a library catalog card, some more handmade paper with glittery butterflies, and another game score sheet, a slang card, has the slang word or phrase and then the definition and how to use the word. There's another of those Tsunami Rose tags, and it is glued to a blank flashcard that I had in my stash. A little note card, you can open that right up and write on it. And on the back I glued a journaling spot and a digital. This is actually one of my digitals. It's a Victorian piece. And here I put one of my Tim Holtz stitched pocket or slotted pockets, and I included a lot of little pieces in there. There's a little Tim Holtz girl, so there's a little Tim Holtz doll in all of the journals, and a few other pieces. That's Alice in Wonderland. I'll go through the other ones more quickly. Davy Deer's New Red Scarf has fabric and fabric at the top, and just some fabric here to cover up. There was some printing on the corner that I wanted to cover up. And fabric on the back. These are little borders from a vintage children's book. The edge of the paper here looked kind of dirty, so I covered that up. You have all the same elements. This one has a recipe for butter cookies. I don't know if I showed you, but this card opens out like that, so there's lots of journaling room. Get it in there straight. The same kind of tags in there. I tried to match whatever digital I used on my tag to the decorative piece that I added. I tried to match colors up. Other than that, the books don't really have a color theme or a design theme. It's just a stash buster. I just throw things in. All 4 of these pieces are digitals. The 2 that are glued down and the 2 that are tucked in. Little tube of paint there. And there's the back cover. And lastly, for the little ones, we have the 3 wishes. Oh, I am going to tie some seam binding around the top of the binding like I did on the larger ones. These, all 3 of the little ones are bound, wrapped on the edges with fabric. And then I just added some fabric pieces to the back because it was plain. These little children are cut from fabric. And this one has Swedish Christmas cookies. This $100 bill thing ended up upside down. Wonder if this would be better in here because it's tall and it will go down further than in this. So we'll just switch them out. Of course, you can rearrange them any way you want to. Fun, fun, fun. And then we have the larger, I have 3 golden books, Counting Rhymes, the Ginghams, and Nursery Songs. And then this one is a treasure book, which I'm not familiar with, and this one is a Wonderbook. Let's do the golden books. They're all the same size, and they are all vintage. I think the newest one is the Ginghams, which is from the 70s. The other ones are much older than that. This one is Counting Rhymes, and it is illustrated by Corinne Malvern. It has the seam binding on the edge. I decorated the edge of it here with some fabric squares and some eyelet, and I put paper around the edge there. This back corner was really soft and it bent very easily, but this little piece here that really blends in, you hardly notice it, but it is an old piece of cardstock, printed cardstock, like a 12 by 12 decorative paper. So I glued that on, and then the library pocket, and then this cardstock card, and just having those pieces on the corner there really reinforced that very nicely. And then just some other little strips and digital here. I love the inside part. These are a little bit different, but very, very similar to what we just looked at. This one had some printing on the page, so I added an extra pocket here. This little girl is part of my digitals. I own this antique piece. And I have a lot of tags in here that I had made previously and just pulled out of my stash. This is a piece of like a kind of a handmade type of paper. It came out of a notebook. And then this is a paper placemat. I had 2 placemats like this, and I could make 4 pages out of those 2 placemats. And so in the 5th book, the paper placemat is just a plain white one, but it has some texture to it. And I believe all of these books got a Mrs. Coggs image as a tuck spot. There's a journaling card there that I love. Had that in my stash for a long time. This is just made from scrapbook paper, another tag that I made, and a flashcard. Wallpaper. The pages are not in order. The book pages are not in order. And of course they're not complete. I think I put 6 to 7 pages in each of the journals. This has just a little die cut and a stamped image on that plain tag. That's a digital. It goes really well with that postcard. I didn't have to cut the plant cards down for these journals. It's a nice journaling card in there. This is a textured paper. And this is a digital that I have. I made copies of some of my old book covers that I get at the flea markets. So each of these larger journals got one of these. Different. They're all different. Some more of that textured paper, and this one has glitter on it. This is a little note card and with a deckled edge. It's kind of like parchment paper. A vintage flashcard, some wallpaper, and the large books get a slotted pocket also. Some of them I glued down as a pocket themselves, so I was able to tuck something in behind them. Some of them are just glued flat down to the page. And there's a library pocket. They're new. These are not vintage ones. And I just decorated the front of it a little bit and put a library card in there. And I will have my signature on the back of the library card. This one is the ginghams with this pretty eyelet piece on the edge. I didn't do anything else to the front except the corners and then the paper wrapped around. But on the back, because it just has this standard green golden book back, I did a collage for fun on there. These are stamped flowers that I have a die set and stamps that go together. And this is a corrugated piece of cardstock, blue cardstock. This is a vintage label, and it actually says from the kitchen of, but I put it there that you can put your name on it and the date or whatever you want to do. This is a time card that I think I got from A Tattered Dream on Etsy, and I coffee dyed it. I've had it for a long time. Put another handmade tag in there and a printable postcard. Here's the white placemat, and you can't see the texture, but it is textured. And this tag is made with vintage wallpaper sewn to cardstock. This is a coffee dyed blank index card, and I Mod Podged a dictionary, vintage dictionary illustration to that. Wallpaper. This is a printable that I glued to the back of wallpaper so you can write on that. And on this pocket is a little envelope that somebody made for me. I think it was Celeste, and she put tiny, tiny, tiny little tags in this pocket, and I used the tags in those slotted pockets. So I thought I should just include the little envelope in here too. So I put this little index card in there and put a tab on it. You can't close the flap of the envelope with the tag in there because I needed to put that tab on it so you'd be able to get the card out easily. And again, there was some writing, some printing on there, so I made a tiny little extra pocket. This is a digital cigarette card, and those are in my shop. There's another book cover printable. I didn't decorate this because it's already printed. This is a vintage white tag, and I didn't age it. It came like this, and I just Mod Podged some napkin to it and added seam binding. That's all I did to it. Another of my printable calling cards. Lots of goodies in that little pocket. This was all scribbled on the back, so I covered it with this green paper and made the paper wide enough that I could wrap it around the edge there, and it covers up the raw edge. Next we have Nursery Songs, and this is a really old one, also illustrated by Corinne Malvern, and there is a little mark on the little boy's face, but it's visible, but it's not like a big bold mark. It's just a thin, and it looks like a green colored pencil or something, but I can't get it off. But it's just too precious to not use, so I love this book cover. I love her pictures. There's fabric here and here because this book was old and aged, and then paper around that edge. On the back, just some more paper and just a little decorative fabric here because this paper got torn off of the back. But I love this old golden book back cover. And here it is stamped, property of Lehman-Jackson Joint School District. This is wallpaper on this tag. This is a scrapbook paper, and it's got a design on it. Didn't know if you could see that while it's laying flat on the table. And this is the book. This page belongs in this book, and I'm thinking it was one of the extra pages that wasn't going in a book, and somehow it got in the pile of these pages, and didn't even think about it as I was cutting and punching and and binding. So this book has an extra book page in it. Bonus. Another index card with a vintage dictionary illustration on it. This one is just a journal card and a die cut that somebody sent me, and then I stamped this image with one of my stamps and then painted it. And it's on wallpaper, textured wallpaper. You can have all kinds of fun adding more decorations and embellishments and writing in these journals. I think they're so fun. And I'm hoping these aren't so precious, and you know, some people don't like to write in the beautiful journals that they purchase from journal makers, but I'm hoping that these are simple enough and fun and eclectic and will make you want to write in them and glue stuff in them. I would love to see how my journals get used after they make it to their new home. But I understand the not wanting to use them. I have some that I don't use. I just like to look at them. This is a stamped flower. Several of the books got one of these. You can write on the back, although I messed up the stamping here and then stamped on the other side and then forgot, but you can write over that. I've had that in my stash for a long time. I love this one. I think that's my favorite picture in the book. And we have two more. Just Like Me is the treasure book. And this one does have some writing in pen. So somebody named this goose Janet, and this says Mommy, and the frog, I can't read the frog, but down here I think this squirrel says Dad, and then they just drew on his bow tie. But it's not like in your face bold black marks. You don't notice it right away. And again, this cover is just so charming, I had to use it. And I think it's fun. It adds character that some child named these animals after, I suppose, family members. That's what the back looks like. We're not used to seeing treasure books. Like I said, I'm not familiar with treasure books, so maybe you are. And this is fabric on both edges. Some eyelet on the edge, the front edge. And there's the end paper. This is just a Tiffany & Co. stamp that I used as a pocket. There was some printing here, so I covered it up. Another index card with dictionary image. Wallpaper. I glued on this printable grid card and this printable dress form. A little postcard with pretty flowers. This one has a round playing card in there. It was small enough to fit in here. This is the bottom of a alterations tag that was copy dyed. Nasturtiums. It was kind of fun to mismatch pockets to the printed papers too. Someone I think it was you, Celeste, in a previous Happy Mail, sent me a bunch of pieces of scrapbook paper that they had cut out with pinking shears in various sizes, and I used a lot of them to make pockets in these journals. This was something I've had in my stash for a long time, a gridded cardstock, and I just cut it with, I think I used my Cricut. I have a recipe card, a tabbed card cartridge. It's called From My Kitchen. It has a lot of kitchen images. Anyway, I think that's what I made that card with. A good place to use it here. And this one I used a smaller library pocket, and this one is vintage because I didn't want to cover this part up. And lastly, we have a Wonderbook, Raggedy Ann and Marcella's first day at school. I love the bright colors of this, and I used this little gingham or eyelet with a pink gingham binding. I did not have much of this eyelet, and I've been hoarding it because I love it, but it's perfect for this. And then I had this little square of fabric with the beautiful colors of hearts on it that match these colors, and because she has a candy heart sewn inside her stuffed body, I included some hearts on the front. This one has paper wrapped around the edges and then just some squares of fabric to add some embellishment to the back. And there we go. Take life by the hand and dance. A good motto to start out 2022. All right, so there will be 2 listings, and there will be a drop-down box in each listing so that you can choose your title. One listing will be for the larger books, and one will be for the smaller books. I hope that you had fun following along as I made these journals, and that you enjoyed the flip through, and that you really want to own one of these for yourself, and that you will follow the link below and go to my shop and pick one up. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in 2022 with new projects. Have a creative day and creative year. Bye-bye.